Pickswise Nation. Good morning, Pickswise Nation. Great Saturday slate, boys. We got a lot on the plate today. What are you most looking forward to today? We got a lot of action, a lot of different sports going on.
NFL, right? That's the big. No,
yeah.
Honestly, I've got my eye on some soccer right now, and that'll carry me through to the afternoon. We got some really good college hoops.
Great
today.
college basketball.
Really good college hoops card.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely.
Plays, I got my eye on you. That's all I'm worried about today. I'm
Got your eye on me. What did I do? He's
solely
ready.
on you, man. I've been waiting all week long for Let's Bet It today. I've been very, very excited to spend some time.
Well, now I'm nervous. I'm starting to sweat.
Got him sweating over there.
Might have to take the hoodie off. I mean, jeez. Yeah, before we get into the show, though, make sure that you guys are downloading the Pickswise app. It's available in the App Store and on Google Play. And, of course, subscribe to the Pickswise YouTube channel. We do this show every day at 10 a.m. Don't miss out on any of the content. We give out winners a lot. We try to do it every day. Doesn't always work out that way, but we try. And, we got a lot to get to today. Like we said, we got college basketball. We're going to talk about the divisional games. We're going to start with Tennessee, and then we're going to go to Green Bay. We got some ice picks for you, and then we're going to finish things off with our play of the day. So without further ado, let's bet it. And let's start with college basketball because we have a great college basketball game in the SEC today, guys. I want to just start with there. We got Kentucky on the road at Auburn. Auburn laying 4 points at home, and what I would consider Kentucky's first true road game, right? Vanderbilt, I don't know if that really counts. Total at 148. Guys, when you look at this game, I mean, these are two great teams. Auburn, a great defensive team, the best shot blocking team in the country. They're long, they're big. They can give Kentucky some trouble, but Kentucky's offense could be on another level. What do you guys see when you're looking at this game?
I think with Auburn, it's the home court advantage that really stands out to me. I think Bruce Pearl's built just a behemoth program, and I think the fans really respond to it. We like to think Auburn is a football school, obviously, Iron Bowl, and they just beat Alabama last week. But I think when you look at them as a basketball school, they have built a really nice program, and Bruce Pearl has done a really nice job with this program. They get their hands on everything. They defend. They're long. They're quick. They're good in the backcourt. They play at a fast tempo. And Kentucky, they have struggled in their road games this year. They went on the road to Notre Dame. They lost. They went on the road to LSU. They lost. They beat Vanderbilt. They beat A&M on the road. That was a nice win at A&M earlier this week.
Struggled in that first half.
Yeah, but I think this is a different element when you're going on the road to Auburn, which I think is the highest class of talent and scheme and home court advantage in the SEC. And I think it's going to show. And I think Auburn, I still see a couple 3.5s out there. And I would grab one of them because I think Auburn wins this game, and I think they cover the number too.
Zeno, the big matchup today obviously is going to be Oscar Tshiebwe, who's, is he player of the year? He's a player of the year candidate, matching up against Walker Kessler, who's a big 7-footer, going to give him a lot of trouble there. What are you looking at in this one? Because that seems like that's going to be where the game's won for me in the paint between those two.
You knew these two teams were high-scoring teams, and as I waited for the line to actually post, my initial reaction was it's going to go over. And then I saw a total of around 148, 149, and I paused for a second. I said, don't do that. Just look at these teams and play to their strengths and watch them play to their strengths. And I'm taking the over in this one. Both of these teams are high-possession teams. Auburn, 75 possessions per game, top 10 in America. Kentucky at 72, still a top 100 team in America in possessions per game. The opportunities are going to be there. Look, I don't think either one of these teams wants to get into a defensive muck-it-up battle. If both of these teams don't get to 75, it's just because they're missing shots. Like, that's ultimately what it boils down to. Kentucky shoots 49.5%. Auburn shoots 45%. These teams will play to their strengths. They want to get out and run. They want to play fast, and that's what they're comfortable doing. If it goes under, it's because they're just missing shots. I don't see a defensive battle forming where they slow the pace down and they're using shot clock routinely. I don't think either one of these teams is comfortable in that style. So I'm not going to get scared about a big number, and it is a big number, but both of these teams should be able to get to 75. If not, this game should be in the 80s for both these teams. Would it really shock you if this was an 84-80 final kind of game? No, I think it's what
Auburn plays fast. It's a havoc tempo.
Yeah.
And I think Kentucky's offense, Like if you were going to ask me if Calipari's talking to his boys before the game, I think he's trying to pump the offense. Hey, we got to run today. We need to outgun this team because they're going to be fired up defensively, and we don't want to slow it down. We want to make sure that we get our offense in the half court before their shot blockers have a chance to get set up. So I agree. I think pace, I might add to the over here. I like that angle a lot more.
Another SEC matchup that we're going to have here, we got LSU at Tennessee. LSU coming off back-to-back losses, a really sloppy game against Alabama earlier in the week, and before that, just a bad loss against Arkansas. Just when you're looking at this game, just kind of what do you all can you trust LSU in this spot?
I can. I mean, I have some concerns about their offense as far as their ability to score, regularly to what their averages are. Look, LSU has only broken 70 once in SEC play. That was against Tennessee. As well, Tennessee has only broken 70 once in SEC play. That was that game last week against Kentucky when Tennessee played their best offensive game of their life and still lost by 20 because Kentucky put up 105 or whatever it was in that game. But the bottom line here is this, guys. If you're giving me the best field goal percentage defense team in America catching 5 points, I'm taking it, right? Like that's really what it boils down to for me. If LSU only scores in the low 50s in this game and somehow Tennessee gets to 60 plus, I'm willing to eat it. Like, honest, I just am because I trust the fact that LSU catching points here and their defense will do enough to keep this game within 5 points. It's a simple handicap from there.
I don't have a play in this game, but I agree with Mark. I think this is the tempo here might look a little different than what the tempo of that Auburn Kentucky game is going to look like.
Just a little different.
And I think that's the beauty of the SEC. So the SEC this year in college basketball is a fascinating conference. You have, I would say, arguably the most talent top to bottom in terms of just pound for pound talent. But the coaches and the styles are drastically different how they utilize those talent. So each matchup is going to look very differently, despite the fact that both, I would say the top 6, top 8 teams in the SEC all have high level talent. But the way that they utilize that talent is very differently. And I think LSU and Tennessee like to play similar styles. And I think that's going to be a fascinating, to watch to play out. No play for me here, but I would actually kind of lean to the under. You get 2 top 10 defensive efficiency teams, despite the fact that both teams have played some pretty high possession games lately, especially that Tennessee-Kentucky game last week. Holy moly. That was the game that you really liked the over on, Zeno.
Yep.
And that one wasn't even close.
We're catching about 8 minutes left in the second half. It was
that game was, 107-79. I don't think we're going to see a pace like that today. But Tennessee has still played, I'm seeing 4 out of their last, 8 out of their last 9 games, at least 70 possessions. So Tennessee can get up there too. And I think that's where I probably would stay away from the under here. But if you ask me how I think this pace is going to play out, I would assume it's going to trend slower than what the other SEC game will today.
Now, fans of the show know that Jared loves to go dumpster diving. So before we move on to the NFL, Jared, hop on in the dumpster. What you got for the people today?
Yeah, let's have a little fun. You want to go back to the Colonial? So I was on this over on JMU earlier in the week against UNC Wilmington. Fun game. Wilmington won at the buzzer with a 3. I thought it had a chance to go over. It missed by like 2 possessions, and Wilmington in the first half was dreadful. But I'm going back to the wall with JMU because I really like their pace. And College of Charleston, so they're facing the fastest team in the country today in terms of pace. And I think JMU, who's been struggling on defense, they just gave up 17 threes to Elon a couple games ago, had that big comeback against UNC Wilmington that fell short. Wilmington was kind of matching them late in the second half. And I think their offense, JMU, is very efficient. I think they're going to score a ton of points today against College of Charleston. I think Charleston's going to do their part as well. 152.5. So not a huge total, relatively big, but not like monstrous in the 160s, which I've seen before with Charleston. So we're going to go over 152.5 between Charleston and JMU.
Okay. Mark, you got anything before we move on?
I'm going to go to the Big 12 here, and I'm not actually going to put Texas Tech on my card today. If betting on the Red Raiders one way or another. It's been semi-profitable, but let's look at Baylor and Oklahoma. The Bears laying 3. Baylor's 4-0 on the road here, and so they are the team that I'm going to back here for a bunch of different reasons. Look, Baylor is a team that's top 20 in America in field goal percentage. Now, Oklahoma is actually top 10. And although Oklahoma has struggled in the last 3 games, shooting just 41% here, Baylor already beat Oklahoma this year by 10, 84-74. So I'm going to back Baylor, but I also like the over 136 in this spot because both these teams can score. And it's not even a bad parlay. Like if you're feeling like a little pizza bet here, I'd take Baylor -3 and the over 136 in this spot. I like the Baylor Bears here, -3.
All right, all right. Well, let's give the people what they want here because we already got questions in the chat about this Titans game. So let's start there. Let's start with the Bengals in Nashville taking on the Titans. Titans laying 3.5 points at home. And I will just start this one out right here, guys. Big news, obviously. Derrick Henry coming back. Big get for that Titans offense. We haven't seen the Titans offense really at full strength with what we were expecting to see with Derrick Henry, AJ Brown, Julio Jones. We haven't seen those three out there at the same time many times this year. We're going to get that today. So that should be a lot of fun. But a point I want to start here with, we talked a lot last week about how coaching in the playoff matter, right? Zach Taylor against Mike Vrabel, who has had time to prepare. This is a huge advantage for Mike Vrabel. 8-0 straight up and against the spread as a head coach when he's had 8 or more days to prepare. So with that being said, Jared, let's start with you. What is your feel for this game? Which side are you on?
Yeah, so this line's been kind of on a one-way traffic, kind of. Open 2.5, and I thought that was way too low. I didn't catch it in time. I did catch the 3 on Monday, and now 3.5. And then this morning, we were talking before the show, a little steamy McSteamerson on the Titans, up to 4 now across the board. So unfortunately, my play of the day, which is going to be this, spoiler alert, you're probably not going to get a great number here if you waited to bet this. To be fair, I gave this out twice this week in my early birds column on Tuesday and in the best bets column on Thursday night, Friday. So I've been screaming from the top of the mountains that the Titans are one of my top plays this week. I agree that, the Vrabel rest factor matters. I think them coming off of the long break, being a team that was very banged up this season matters. I think the Bengals defensive front being banged up matters. Ogunjobi out. Josh Tupou, their backup defensive tackle, is banged up. Hendrickson coming off the concussion. We'll see how many snaps. We'll see how effective he is today. I think the presence of Derrick Henry. We'll see how many carries he actually gets. We're hearing more than I expected. We'll see if that's a bluff or not from Vrabel. But I think just the presence of Derrick Henry will open the play action game up for Ryan Tannehill. Unbelievable numbers for Tannehill when he's got both A.J. Brown and Julio Jones on the field. 53% success rate on dropbacks. First grade in play action passing when those two guys are on the field. That grade drops to 13th when there's no Brown or Julio Jones. So it opens things up now that all of the weapons have to be accounted for by this Bengals defense. Joe Burrow never started a playoff road game. Historically, quarterbacks making their first playoff road start, 6-15 straight up, 9-12 against the number. They've struggled at times. We'll see how Burrow handles a road environment. By the way, he hasn't played a road game since Thanksgiving. Didn't play on the road in their last game of the year, and 3 of his 4 lowest yards per attempt games this year have come on the road. So I'm curious how he handles himself as well. And I just think the Titans are a powder keg. I think they've been, pent up for the last week. They're healthy, and I think they're going to get a big win today. I think this game is not going to be close in the fourth quarter. The 3.5 won't matter. 4 won't matter. I still feel comfortable laying it with Tennessee.
We got a comment in the chat. I want to just throw your way. Tannehill, anytime touchdown. I know
that.
you love that.
Yeah. Yeah, you had Gilles Gallant on this week. Loved it. I'll give out 2 more props. So I'm on the Henry under. I don't feel great about it because I do think there's a chance he busts a big one. But Nick Westbrook-Akina, longest reception over 15.5 yards. Again, play action over the middle should be open. A lot of attention is going to get paid to Jones and Brown and Henry. Akina's come on strong of late. He's actually gone over this in 2 out of his last 3 games. The only one he didn't was that Dolphins blowout in the rainstorm. That was the game was over at halftime. So I think Westbrook-Akina is a sleeper, buy low kind of offensive weapon today. And I just think the Titans are ready. I think this is going to be a breakout game for this Tennessee offense.
Jared's on the Titans. I'm on the Titans. I'll get to that in a second. Zeno, who are you on?
Well, there's a lot here, and not enough for me to get to the window on the side of the total because I just can't eliminate the variance. Again, with Derrick Henry, I don't know what version of Derrick Henry I'm going to get. I don't know if he's going to be on a pitch count. I will say this much. The 8 games this year where the Titans had Derrick Henry, they averaged 28 points per game, and they were 5-3 to the over. The other games without Derrick Henry, they average only 20 points per game, and we're 3-6 to the over. So clearly their offense is much different with Derrick Henry than without. Conversely, the Cincinnati Bengals, 4 of their 6 losses this year, they've given up at least 100 yards on the ground, an average giving up 114 yards in those losses. So this is a team that if you can control them by keeping their offense off the field, by being able to run the ball, they're going to be very limited. Both of these offensive lines are terrible. Joe Burrow is the most sacked quarterback in the league, and Ryan Tannehill isn't much better with his offensive line. So again, it's hard for me to back either one of these teams when your offensive line can't block for your quarterback. So I have concerns there. I think the over probably is the number that comes in this game. I think it'll be more high scoring than people expect. But again, I can't get to the window because if Derrick Henry goes out of the game at some point in time or he's on a pitch count, it's just one of those things where I can't eliminate the variance, so I can't bet it. But here's what I would do. I will take Cincinnati's team total over 21.5 because if Cincinnati is going to be in this game and Cincinnati has any chance of covering this game, they're clearly going to have to get to that number. If they don't get to that number, as Jared said, this is a full-on blowout by Tennessee. It's not even going to be close. I think Cincinnati's offense can do enough to keep it close, enough for me to back them against the Titans defense, especially a pass defense that's fairly suspect, and at times this year has given up multiple big plays through the air. I know that that's exactly what Cincinnati wants to do. They're going to force the ball to Jamar Chase, and if they get it there, by the way, Jamar Chase's receptions prop at 5.5 juiced 150, minus 150. Are you kidding me? Don't do that. You missed the window on it. So regardless, I will back Cincinnati here rather to get over 21.5 points.
Okay, interesting way to look at this. Well, you guys touched on some interesting points. Jared, you mentioned that defensive line for the Bengals being banged up, and that's most of the reason why I am siding with the Titans here. When you combine that with their offensive line play as well, Joe Burrow, like Zeno mentioned, the most sacked quarterback in the league, and you have a Titans defensive line that gets after the quarterback. They rank 10th in adjusted sack rate. And obviously, if the Titans are able to get to Joe Burrow, that just creates a lot of chaos. And it's going to be interesting to see how they're able to open up opportunities because they're going to try to get the ball to Chase and in T. Higgins' hands. They're going to try to get it out there. I'm not sold that they're going to be able to do that, especially in Joe Burrow's first road playoff game. A lot to ask. This is a good Titans defense that I think is a little undervalued here. Let's see. Let's move on because this is the game that I think we're going to talk about for a while here. The nightcap. We got the Packers hosting the 49ers. The Packers, is it still 5.5? It was 6 for a little bit this morning. Packers laying 5.5.
Mostly 5.5s in the market.
Packers laying 5.5. That is a big number. But the Packers have been great against the spread all season long. One of the best spread teams this year. They have been even better at home against the spread. They've done almost nothing but cover at home. But this is an interesting spot. 5.5. If you're siding with the Niners, this is a red hot Niners team. And matchup wise, I mean, this couldn't be a worse matchup for the Packers, right? This is a Niners team that is going to run the ball. Zeno's rolling his eyes. But I'm painting the picture for the people. Mm-hmm. This is a terrible matchup on paper. A terrible matchup on paper for the Packers, but the games aren't played on paper. Zeno, I'll give you first crack. We're on the same side, but I'll give you first crack since you're rolling your eyes at me, just putting out facts. I'm pointing out facts.
I mean, look, there are people who are going to try to find ways for San Francisco to cover this game. Like you literally have to find and invent ways to do it. I'm not going to get sucked into narratives. I'm not going to get sucked into that. Give me the better quarterback at home, where the Packers are 7-1 against the number this year and 6-0 against playoff teams. And they've outgained those playoff teams this year by 350 yards. Like They are just flat out a better offense on all accounts. You're giving me a banged up quarterback in Jimmy G who has a propensity to turn the football over. Nick Bosa out of concussion protocol. Fred Warner off an injury. I get Deebo Samuel is an X factor, and I get that he'll play a big part of this. But you also have a team that went from California to Dallas, back to California, now to Green Bay in frigid temperatures. I mean, they don't have the steam to keep up with this. If they go out and win this game, it literally would be one of the more surprising upsets in my mind, just because, again, I'm not saying that they can't cover the game, because I think the way that the 49ers cover the game is, in my mind, this is a 34-23 game and they score a garbage touchdown late trying to catch up, right? And then you get 34-30 kind of deal. That's the way I think this game gets covered. But this has to be an under game. Otherwise, San Francisco can't stand it. As I said last week, there's no way San Francisco wins an over game. I can see the Packers winning an under game. I cannot see San Francisco winning an over game. And I don't think they can do enough to keep the Packers under 28 to 30 points.
Well, we're talking about covering here. I was talking about covered 5.5 points. I mean, that's a lot of points. The game that gives me pause, and I remember because obviously I watched every snap of this game, is the Ravens-Packers game, right? This is the game without Lamar Jackson. And that's a game where the Ravens just controlled the clock. They had those 9-minute drives and scored. But that was, I think that game ended 31-30. Yeah. And that was a game that the Ravens could have won.
Well, they could have kicked the extra point to tie it. They chose to go for 2.
I could see this game playing out a lot like that, where Kyle Shanahan and the Niners just play keep away, and then when it doesn't matter, when Aaron Rodgers is on the field, they're going to score every time. But you just you shorten the game by trying to keep Aaron Rodgers off the field. I think that's the only way that the Niners.
I think Green Bay was content to let up in the regular season because they just didn't care. All they wanted was a W. I don't think that's the case. I'm getting an angry Rodgers, a ticked off Aaron Rodgers, one who wants to stick it to the world for everybody who got mad at him about COVID. This is the Aaron Rodgers I love. And oh, by the way, Aaron Rodgers plus 600 today to have the most passing yards of divisional playoff weekend. Love it at that number.
Well, he also wants to stick it to the Niners. Remember, it was after he got drafted. It was, hey, how upset are you that you didn't get drafted by the? Well, not as upset as the Niners are going to be that they didn't draft me. So
he's 0-3 against them in the playoffs.
Yeah. So yeah, okay, Jared, what do you got for this?
There are some so I'm in a very unique position in this game. If you've been following our futures column all year long, we're on the Niners at 15-1 to win the NFC. We're on the Packers to win the NFC and the Super Bowl. I am in a position in this game where I'm going to let my futures action work for me. So I have no play on the side. That being said, I would be shocked if Green Bay did not win this game. Absolutely shocked. Jimmy Garoppolo on a bum shoulder. I was really surprised that he has never played a game in sub-freezing temperatures, 32 degrees.
Was that just NFL games? Because he played at Eastern Illinois. Like they had.
And he played for New England.
Yeah,
it makes sense.
Well, he didn't play in those.
He didn't play.
But he did play a little bit, right? He had a few starts.
The kneel down snap doesn't count as playing.
That's true. But it is surprising to me that we're even making the argument that he doesn't have cold weather experience. He still practiced. He still was on the field, and he still understands what it's like to play in the cold. So I don't buy that narrative at all. The narrative that I do buy is that he has a lot of issues with his right arm. And that is a problem because even if he is 100% healthy when the ball is snapped, over the course of the game, I think he will get less and less healthy. And what have we noticed from Jimmy Garoppolo, his, overall quality of play? It decreases as the game goes on. He had that one drive against the Rams late where Deebo Samuel made an unbelievable play, and, got in a scoring range. And then the Niners were able to come back and win that game late. But I think when you look overall at Jimmy G's body of work, the level of play has dropped dramatically as the game goes on, as more is on the line. And I'm curious how he handles himself in another tough road environment when, if he does make that one interception, that one mistake, will it compound? Like he missed Ayuk on that wide open throw last week. And then from that moment on, it was over. It was done. The nosedive happened, and you saw the level.
That was after he got hit in the shoulder, right?
This was after 100%. And that worries me because he is going to get hit in this game. The Packers are getting those big pieces back defensively, Smith and Alexander. We'll see how much they play into the mix. They haven't played in months? So I'm not buying that they're going to just walk onto the field first game back and be these all-stars. They've played like all-stars in the past. We'll see how they play today. This game comes down to Aaron Rodgers against Jimmy Garoppolo. I know it sounds simple. Both NFC games have this very interesting quarterback, contrast. And I think this game comes down to Aaron Rodgers against Jimmy Garoppolo, and I trust Aaron Rodgers a heck of a lot more to make a throw late than I do Jimmy. And I think that's where I would lean here. It's Packers or pass.
Absolutely. Well, while you all are saying that, just kind of going along with what we were talking about earlier, I don't want to overstate this. The Packers are terrible against the run. They're giving up 4.7 yards per carry to their opponents. And it just can't be overstated what the Niners are going to come out and try to do in this spot. I'm saying all this as a Packers backer. I'm going to get there, I promise you. But for me, when I'm seeing all that and it's making me think Niners, I lean on what I believe is going to be the game script in this one. And it's if the Packers get up 2 scores, Kyle Shanahan's going to have to get away from the run and put the ball in Jimmy G's hands. And, they're not going to want to do that. They're going to try to hide Jimmy G for as long as possible, right? Because we've seen what he can do in those spots. And turnovers are key in this game. In all 7 of the Niners' losses this season, they turned the ball over once. And in 6 of those games, they turned it over twice or more. So
I would add this ways in reference to the Packers' run defense. In general, their defense has been bend, don't break all year long. Remember, for all the yards they've given up, they only average giving up 21 points a game. And that's ultimately what really matters.
To be fair, I think they also came along. They started off the season fairly weak and then got better, and now they're kind of tapering off a little bit.
I'd be worried about the Niners' run game here. I mean, I think we're naive if we do not think the Niners are going to make some plays in this game, and that's why the spread I think is kind of stopping at 6. I think I
like that I'm getting the number under 6. I like 5.5. 5.5.
I think you're going to get some buyback on San Francisco. The Sharps love the Niners. I think the Niners probably are, in terms of making.
Sharps got hammered last week, though.
Yes, the Sharps were wrong in every single game last week.
Absolutely hammered last week, but they tend to be right more than they're wrong. So I wouldn't be shocked if there is a moment in this game where the Niners are moving the ball very effectively and the play action game is working. And George Kittle, we talked about our boy Kittle. The Packers really struggle against the tight end, last in red zone efficiency, 25th in overall success rate against the tight end. I think the Niners are going to move the ball in this game. I just think late it's going to be Aaron Rodgers over Jimmy, and that's why the Packers will win. But if I had to make a lean on the spread, I would lean Niners.
If you think the Niners are going to win, or if they're going to be able to move the ball, they also are the best and most efficient red zone offense in the NFL. So you got to think they're going to be able to put up some points as well. So that kind of it's going to be an interesting game. It's going to be an interesting game. I'm looking forward to this one. I'm looking forward to some props because I'm all about one guy today. Well, 2 technically, but I'm really all in on one guy. I'm going to be looking for 13. I'm looking for Allen Lazard all day today because I think he's going to have just a monster game for the Packers. Let's start with the receptions prop. Let's start with that. Over 3.5 receptions. So Marquez Valdes-Scantling, doubtful for this game with a back injury. Probably not going to play. That's a big deal. Randall Cobb, on the other hand, is expected to return, but he hasn't played in 2 months. Somebody else is going to have to step up because, Devontae Adams, he's going to get his. We know that. But all the attention is going to be on Devontae Adams. And I think Adam Lazard is your guy. 5 or more targets in 5 of the last 6 weeks. 5 or more receptions in each of the past 2 games that the Packers have played. And if you go back to the divisional round last year, 4 receptions, 8 targets, 96 yards against the
That's
Rams.
what I was going to ask you is in the playoffs.
This is a guy that Aaron Rodgers had trust in the playoffs, trusted last year. And as we've seen, if you look at his splits for the game logs, has begun to gain more and more trust as the season progressed. So the trust is there for Lazard. And what does he have? 5? I'm trying to remember how many touchdowns.
You make a strong case, Alex. I was curious what case you would make. I'm glad you mentioned the divisional round last year. That matters to me more than any of his recent splits.
4 touchdowns, or no, 1, 2, 3, 5 touchdowns in the last 5 games. 2. So we could be looking at a little touchdown prop there. I'm not giving that one out. But also, so I like Lazard on the receptions. I also like his yards too, because I think those are kind of correlating bets because the yards prop was at 40.5. It's pretty low for me. And he's gone over that number in 3 straight and 4 of the last 5 games. And his longest reception has been 20 or more yards in 4 of those 5 games as well. So he can get half of that, 1 catch. Adam Lazard, my guy today.
Okay. I don't mind it. What do you think, Zeno?
Listen, the logic is there. I mean, Aaron Rodgers will always find the open guy. If it's not Adams, Lazard will be a guy who's going to be the benefactor of that. So he's not shy about going to him. Also, this is one of those games too where Robert Tonyan shows up, right?
Ooh,
because they're so
I haven't heard that name in a while. I do like that name a lot. He was relied on in the playoffs last year.
Yeah,
too.
I mean, this is a spot where they just scheme him open because hey, you think that they're going to throw the outside the whole time. You got Lazard and Adams running all over the place. Tanyan's going to be the guy, and if there was one of those like how many receptions for first down props out there, Tanyan would be the guy I'd pick because they're going to go to him on third down often and find him in the middle of the field or on these small little out routes on 3rd and 3 that are going to convert first downs. He's going to keep the chains moving all day.
I'm looking at Tanyan right now.
If there's any more question, if you're still on the fence about Lazard, post it on Instagram. War Daddy is war ready. All right, that's his caption.
They're not even giving us a Tanyan prop on MGM.
His words, not mine. War Daddy's war ready. I'm ready.
What's the touchdown prop for Tanyan? He's got.
I think it's probably plus 400 or better, 500 or better.
I don't even see. Is he playing in this game? I don't even see his numbers on here. Is he playing today?
I hadn't heard that he was out.
I haven't heard he was out either,
what our producer is saying. He's out for the year. Out for the year.
There you go. So that's why we haven't heard from him lately.
Well, that's why we haven't heard from him lately. Forget who's the backup tight end then?
They don't have. That's the thing. They really don't.
That's the thing. There's no time. It's got to go to someone. It's got to go to somebody.
You just made Glaze's Lazard case that much stronger.
There you go.
Listen, we should all be fans of Alan Lazard today. We all should be fans.
The Lizard, LZ.
Also, I mentioned this earlier in the week. Phenomenal follow on TikTok as well. Does a Juice of the Day review. He's great. Any props?
Juice of the Day.
He has a juice.
Like orange juice, apple juice, cranberry juice?
Well, it could be that. It could be a special juice. I mean, there's so many juices these days. It could be, an apple cucumber or something. It could be a cold pressed juice. And he tastes and reviews. I mean, listen.
Just make sure the juice is worth the squeeze, fellas. That's always the case.
It is today. Any props that you guys are on?
Not Robert Tanyan.
Yeah, certainly not Robert Tanyan. Although I just saw Diana Rossini tweet, not to go back to the other game, but Diana Rossini just tweeted that she was told that Derrick Henry was not going to be on a snap count. Will have no limitations. Coaching staff will keep an eye on him, conditioning and comfort. I don't feel great about my Derrick Henry under, but just wanted to get that out there because I do think that is a noteworthy tweet. We'll see if it's bluff. If it's Bluff City from Vrabel. He doesn't.
Vrabel? No, he wouldn't do that.
Him as the kind of bluffing guy. He's a straightforward, jam it down your throat kind of guy.
Smoking mirrors, Mike Vrabel? No.
I don't know. I just, to me, it would surprise me to see Henry get the monster workload in his first game back. Like that would surprise me. But
especially, the other guys have been affected. Yeah. Okay. Well, if no other props, I'll throw out another one that I like George Kittle over 51.5 receiving yards today. He's been real quiet for the past month, right? Haven't heard a whole lot from George Kittle. But I will look at how the Packers have defended what I consider elite tight ends this year. Kittle, earlier in the season, 7 receptions, 92 yards. Travis Kelce, 5 for 68. Mark Andrews, 10 for 136. We talked a lot about game script, how we see this game going. I think that Jimmy Garoppolo is going to have to throw the ball, and the Niners do not want to throw it outside the numbers. Kittle in the middle of that defense, a defense that has struggled against elite tight ends this year, has struggled against Kittle this year. I can see him getting over that 51.5. I think that's over 50. I don't want to say it's a small number, but I think it's small for George Kittle.
Yeah, Kittle's touchdown prop today at plus 220 over at Bet365 is a must play for me. That is a monster number for a guy of his status. We talked about the red zone numbers, 32nd in red zone efficiency against the tight end. The Packers defense just doesn't scheme well against the tight end, I guess. And he's been so quiet, way too quiet. And that, to me, I'm not going to say he's due because that's not a very logical argument. But I do think there is a level of the Niners offense that is much, much more explosive when George Kittle is dangerous. And he hasn't been very dangerous lately. He's been kind of, under the radar. So I think that's a guy that I would look to today to target in the props market, George Kittle, for sure. Mm-hmm. Our buddy Prop Bet Guy likes him too. That's another good reason to be on him.
There we go. That's a great reason to be on him. All right, let's move on here. I'm not seeing any questions in the chat. Everyone must just be loving what we're dishing out here. Let's go to the ice. Got some ice picks. Jared, you got a couple. What do you like on the ice tonight?
Yeah, let's talk a little Caps, 3-way money line, laying 25 cents. Senators playing the first of a back-to-back. We talk about the second game of a back-to-back being impactful, but if you go look at that Lightning box score last night, first game of a back-to-back, sometimes the team come out a little slow. Lightning have another game tonight against the Sharks. They got waxed by the Ducks last night. So that first game of the back-to-back, sometimes the teams can be a little bit sluggish as well, preparing themselves what is going to come the following day. Sens are in Columbus tomorrow. Caps been playing pretty well. We'll lay it on the three-way money line. Also, three-way money line on the Predators tonight. They're at home facing the Wings. The Wings played last night. Very tough game. Lost in overtime to the Stars 5-4. High scoring, high tempo game. Now they have to turn around, go to Nashville, and I think the Preds will be ready. So those are the two plays tonight, Caps and Preds on the three-way money line. And I am so close, very close to betting the Canadians plus 2.5 at even money.
You want to do it. You're going to get there. You're going to get there.
The Avs are laying 600 on the money line, Mark. I'm going to bash my head against the wall with these money lines on these ridiculous favorites.
Plus 2.5.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
And Zeno, you like, I mean, not your Rangers. You're an Islanders guy, but you like the Rangers tonight.
I am an Islanders guy, so it pains me to back the New York Rangers tonight at home against the Arizona Coyotes, the second lowest scoring team in the league. Look, the Rangers had just come off a stretch where 5 of the last 6 were on the road. They lost last night in Carolina 6-3. And I'm going to lay the 1.5 goals here with the Rangers. Only one time since the start of the calendar year of 2022 has there been a 1-goal differential in any of the Rangers games. So they clearly can separate from their opponents, or they get separated from. But this starts a long stretch of 7 of the next 8 games at the Garden for the Rangers. They've been on the road. They'll get back home tonight. Again, Coyotes lost last night to the Islanders 4-0. You see how bad of a scoring team they are. Rangers will get right tonight. Awful loss last night. Coyotes played as well, so I don't think the rest is the issue for either teams. That negates each other. But I'm going to back the Rangers. I'll lay the 1.5 on the goals on the goal line there, and back the Rangers tonight to win by at least 2 or more.
All right. Well, let's wrap things up. Let's get to our plays of the day. Jared, we got a 3-star play on the site that you like?
Yeah, there's a couple. Let's see which one. Oh yeah, it was the under in that Yotes Rags game. Our buddy Connor has been doing a good job. The best bets in NHL this year, really solid, 50-30. Really solid record. Tyler Mortimer's on the Caps money line, juicy play. We just gave out Caps 3-way. I think you can do both there if you're willing to risk a little bit of extra coin. Go with the straight money line, but I'm comfortable with the 3-way. And then the under 5.5 in that Yotes Rangers game. Shesterkin's been phenomenal. Anytime the Rangers have Shesterkin in net, I feel comfortable with an under. And we just saw what the Yotes did last night to the Isles. It was not impressive, and Mark did a nice job with that cap. So I think the under, the Rangers to me are an under team, 25-14 to the under this season. So I certainly think that's a decent spot. Under 5.5, Yotes and Rangers.
Zeno, what's your play?
Titans. Gotta go Titans.
Jared. Yeah, start off, Jared.
Oh, sorry. No. We gave out the handicap already. I'm not going to beat it to a pulp, but the Titans are winning. They're winning big today. Period. End of story.
Well, Glaze, I'm going to go to the NBA tonight and back a trend that I find very valuable when it comes to teams on a back-to-back versus teams with 2 days rest. Only 3 games in the slate tonight, one of them being the Milwaukee Bucks hosting the Sacramento Kings. Milwaukee played last night and beat Chicago at home 94-90. Now, in the last 2 games, the Bucks have beaten Memphis and Chicago, 2 of the best teams in the league. They'll welcome Sacramento into Milwaukee tonight. Teams that have played a back-to-back versus teams with 2 days rest, the favorite is only covered 35% of the time. Milwaukee is laying 9.5 tonight to Sacramento. I'm going to back the Kings here, who can score. Top half of the league in scoring. And I would also just wait one other thing. Tyrese Halliburton of the Kings cleared health and safety protocols last night. Not 100% sure if he's going to be in the game. Still like the spot without him, but if he's in, I love it all that much more. I'd also, too, sprinkle a little bit on the under 230.5 in this game. A very high total. I don't see the Bucks getting to 115. If somehow they win this thing, it's a low-scoring game, and if it does, if it is a low-scoring game, that makes me like the Kings even more, just because, simply put, they're going to be close with the way they can score. So I'm going to back Sacramento off that trend tonight, getting 9.5.
230. That is a high number. I might have to look at that. Look at that under. I like that. All right. I'm going back to my guy, Adam Lazard. We're watching the games tonight. We're going to enjoy all the games, but we're really watching number 30. Alan Lazard. Alan Lazard. Do I say Adam? Sorry.
Adam, yeah.
Alan. Sorry. Thinking about other things. Alan Lazard, my guy tonight. Marquez Valdez-Scantling out or doubtful with a back injury. The ball has to go somewhere. Alan Lazard is a guy that Aaron Rodgers trusts in the playoffs. The divisional round last year, 4 catches, 8 targets, 96 yards against the Rams. and he's been trending up as the season progressed. 5 or more targets in 5 of the last 6 weeks, with 5 or more receptions in each of the Packers' last 2 regular season games. 4 catches. That's all we need. 4 catches. So I'm watching number 13 all day today. Alan Lazard, over 3.5 receptions. It's my play of the day.
Love it. I think I'm gonna do that parlay. So I did before the show, we were having some fun with some same game parlays. Packers on the money line, George Kittle to score a touchdown, and your Lazard receptions prop. 11-1.
Love it.
Juicy.
That is really juicy. You want to have some fun today in a same game parlay? That's the one right there.
Love that. Love that. All right. Well, listen, we got a lot to get to, so I'm gonna take a quick power nap before we got a long afternoon. I'm getting old. I need to nap before a long day of watching TV. Right? That's
take a nap
life.
before you sit on the couch and do nothing all day.
Tough. It's a tough life to live. It's
Right.
a tough life, man. But for Jared and Zeno, I am Alex. Good luck with your picks.